truck engines. They're the heart of our beloved workhorses. But not all hearts beat strong. Some are time bombs waiting to explode. Today, we're revealing the top 10 worst truck engines ever made. These aren't just bad, they're legendary failures that'll make you cringe. Number 10, Ford 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6. Kicking off our list is Ford's 2.7-liter EcoBoost. Sounds fancy, right? Well, it was more EcoBus than EcoBoost. These engines gulped oil like a thirsty dog. Some owners reported using a quart every 3,000 miles. That's not normal, folks. Turbochargers, more like trouble chargers. They'd fail without warning, leaving drivers stranded. Some engines even gave up the ghost before hitting 50,000 miles. Imagine buying a new truck and needing an engine replacement before your first oil change. Ford's idea of built Ford tough took a real beating with this one. Number 9, Toyota 3-liter V6. Toyota's known for reliability, and the 3VZE is a bit of a paradox. It's both reliable and problematic. On one hand, this engine was weaker than watered-down coffee. With a measly 150 horsepower, it had all the grunt of a tired hamster. It struggled to pull a fishing boat, let alone do any real truck work. Head gaskets blew more often than a referee's whistle. But here's the twist. If you babied it and stayed on top of maintenance, this engine could run forever. Some owners hit 300,000 miles without major issues. It's like that old slow dog that's not good for much but sticks around for years. Many owners swapped this weakling out faster than you can say underpowered. Others kept it, enjoying its simple design and ease of repair. It's a shame because the rest of the truck was solid. Toyota learned their lesson, and later engines were much better. But for those stuck with the 3VZE, it was a mix of reliability and constant headaches. Number 8, Dodge 4.7-liter V8. Dodge's 4.7-liter V8 was like that friend who's fine until things get tough. Then they bail on you. This engine loved to drop valve seats like a bad habit. One minute you're cruising down the highway, the next you're hearing a sound like marbles in a blender. Rocker arms? They'd fall off for fun. Imagine your valve train deciding to play musical chairs while you're driving. And don't get me started on the oil sludge. It built up faster than traffic on a Friday afternoon. Skip an oil change? You might as well start shopping for a new engine. Some folks had good luck with these, but for many, it was a ticking time bomb. Number 7, Nissan 5-liter Cummins V8. Nissan thought slapping a Cummins badge on their engine would make it bulletproof. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Turbochargers on these engines had a shorter lifespan than a Mayfly. They'd fail without warning, leaving you with all the power of a golf cart. The DEF system was more temperamental than a cat in a bathtub. It would throw codes for fun, leaving owners scratching their heads. Fuel economy? Let's just say you'd get better mileage pushing the truck. Nissan ended up buying back trucks faster than they could sell them. It was a bold experiment that failed spectacularly. Cummins' reputation took a hit, and Nissan's truck dreams went up in smoke. Number 6, Chevrolet/GMC 5-cylinder Atlas. GM's bright idea? Let's make a 5-cylinder engine. The result? A disaster on wheels. This oddball loved to misfire more than a Civil War reenactment. You'd be cruising along, and suddenly your truck's doing the chicken dance. Fuel injectors failed like New Year's resolutions. One day they're working, the next they're spraying fuel like a broken garden hose. And those valve seats? They wore out faster than sneakers on a marathon runner. Once they went, you were looking at a full head job. The repair bills could make grown men weep. GM eventually got the message and put this engine out to pasture. Number 5, Ram 3-liter EcoDiesel V6. Ram's EcoDiesel sounded great on paper. In reality, it was about as reliable as a chocolate teapot. Oil coolers failed, turning your engine oil into a milkshake. Nothing says fun times ahead like coolant in your oil. EGR coolers leaked like a sieve, causing all sorts of performance issues. Camshaft gears slipped, throwing off timing and causing misfires that'd rattle your fillings loose. If you were lucky, only the main bearings would fail. And by lucky, I mean you'd only need to replace the entire engine. This engine turned the term eco-friendly into wallet enemy. Ram's been working on fixes, but for many owners, it's too little, too late. Number 4, Chevrolet 5.3-liter V8. Chevy's 5.3-liter with active fuel management. Sounds smart, right? Wrong. This engine drank oil like it was going out of style. Some owners reported a quart every 1,000 miles. That's not consumption, that's hemorrhaging. Lifters failed more often than diet resolutions. You'd hear a tick, then a clack, then kaboom. There goes your engine. The AFM system? More trouble than it was worth. It was supposed to save fuel by shutting off cylinders. Instead, it saved you money on gas by keeping your truck in the shop. Owners were deleting it faster than embarrassing Facebook posts. Chevy eventually got it right, but not before leaving a trail of frustrated owners in their wake. Number 3. Ford's 6.4-liter Power-Stroke Diesel V8, the engine that made mechanics rich and owners poor. This beast diluted oil faster than a bartender waters down drinks. Your oil would look like chocolate milk before you hit 10,000 miles. Radiators leaked more than a politician's promise. You'd be refilling coolant more often than your gas tank. EGR coolers failed, causing coolant to mix with exhaust gases. Nothing says healthy engine like steam coming from your tailpipe. Turbos went boom, leaving you with all the power of a tired mule. It wasn't a question of if it would break, but when and how much it would cost. Number 2. Ford's 6-liter Power-Stroke Diesel V8. If the 6.4-liter was bad, the 6-liter was its evil little brother. This engine was so problematic, it spawned a whole industry of bulletproofing. Head gaskets blew like it was their job. You'd be cruising down the highway, then boom! White smoke everywhere. EGR coolers cracked, mixing coolant with oil. Nothing runs quite like an engine full of mayo. Injectors failed, leaving cylinders dry and owners crying. Turbos died more often than characters in Game of Thrones. One minute you're towing, the next you're stranded. Owning this engine was like playing Russian roulette with your wallet. Every mile was a gamble. Some folks spent more on repairs than they did on the truck itself. Number 1. Ford 5.4-liter Triton V8. And the crown for the worst truck engine goes to Ford's 5.4-liter Triton V8. This engine wasn't just bad, it was a masterclass in how not to build an engine. Spark plugs shooting out like champagne corks? Check. You'd be driving along, then bang. There goes a plug, taking the threads with it. Hope you like helicoils, cause you'll be using plenty. Cam phasers failing? You bet, your engine would sound like a skeleton dancing in a tin can. Oil sludge building up faster than spam in your inbox? Absolutely. Skip an oil change, and you might as well pour concrete in your engine. Timing chains stretching like old underwear? Of course. Nothing says precision engineering like a timing chain that's looser than a politician's morals. This engine didn't just break down, it found new and exciting ways to empty your bank account. It was so bad it made grown men cry and mechanics retire early. Ford eventually sorted most issues, but not before leaving a trail of broken dreams and empty wallets. There you have it, the 10 worst truck engines of all time. Engines so bad they make walking look like a viable alternative. Next time you're in the market for a used truck, remember this list. It might just save you from making a very expensive mistake. So what do you think? Did we miss any notorious engines? Or maybe you've had a nightmare experience with one of these beasts? Either way, these engines prove one thing: not all that glitters is gold. Sometimes it's just a shiny piece of junk waiting to break down.